South Wales, because he's a climber, to help me actually get the tree out of the cliff. But as you can see, there are two root masses here. And when this tree was in my garden, I had Mario Costa, an amazing Polish artist who's living in Spain, said to me, wow, you should keep the two root balls and have two pots and have a special table made. And I'm like, Mario, I said, the sheer logistics of it are crazy. To have two of everything and transporting the tree, and he said, yeah, but it would be so unique. I said, yeah, okay. A heading like that I don't need. So it was a case of saw the tree in half. Once that the tree was established, it's got its root balls, so it was a case of cut that tree in half, and that is the other half of the tree. That other half is now in France and was used as a bargaining tool with a French friend of mine, so that he would take me collecting pine trees at his special place for Yamadori. It's quite interesting about Yamadori hunters. They will never tell you where they collect their trees. And it's only once they've absolutely gained your trust, they may take you collecting. I've got a story about that.
I'm free at the weekend, Tony.
I'm sure you are. I'm sure you are. I've got a very interesting story about that. I had two friends, Harley Ryder, bless him, a chap who's no longer with us, and Matt Addy. And I said, okay guys, you're going to have to put your blindfolds on. And we were driving an hour and a half to this collecting site at Hawthorns. And 5 minutes afterwards, I just nudged Matt and got to take it off. So Harley Ryder sat there all the time with his blindfold on. And we didn't tell him. But this is now in France, and apparently it's doing very, very well. So this is the technique that I use for deadwood, and it is one which I have been doing probably 25 years now. I have been using sandblasting for 25 years, but it's good to see that somebody has actually made a career out of it. Andreas, I call him Botticelli, but it's not Botticelli. If you're on there, Andreas, I'm sorry about that. But he's doing amazing work, and he's working with a lot of the very best artists, creating their deadwood for them. This is how I do it, using chisels and a mallet and stripping. But this is, we talked about, it's incredibly hard wood. And you know, yew wood is used in furniture and in box making and stuff, simply because it is so hard, but it's also extremely brittle. So it was a case of stripping, and I can see no mechanical tools whatsoever. And this looks pretty ugly. You can see the chips that were taken off here. Then in case again it was fire to soften those edges up. At the top of the tree, what I did here with this one was to sort of correct that inverse taper. At the top of the tree on this one, it had a barley sugar twist. This has kind of got a barley sugar twist, but that barley sugar twist on this particular tree was very dynamic. Then it went extremely fat, then it went thin again. So it was a case of punching a hole through, and I did use a Dremel or a Makita at this point to create that hole at the top, and you'll see why. This is the back of the tree. Again, doing all the stripping. And this is sandblasting it. This is the technique that I use, mainly because I'm using an industrial sandblaster with a very wide nozzle. Now, Andres uses a very fine nozzle, almost like a pen. So he doesn't need to protect the live. He does protect the foliage using towels and plastic bags. I was protecting the live using that clay that children use, air-dried clay, you know, when they do modelling.
Polymer clay.
What's it called?
Polymer clay.
Polymer clay. Yeah. And it's a case of put that on to protect that live vein, and then what I then did with it as well was put on carpet tape. So here it is in the industrial sandblaster. You see the sand here all around. That is not me. He's completely connected up to breathing apparatus, because if you were to breathe in that sand, you'd get silicosis. all sorts of issues and stuff. I'm literally stood outside a plastic curtain with my camera just inside. And here he is sandblasting away. And this is what it looks like when it comes out. So what you've got here is, this is Mother Nature, this is Mother Tickle on this side. Again, you can see it looks completely natural. That is nature, and there you can see it again. That contrast. So this is what I'm talking about here. You can see where this was narrow, and then this was fat. So this case it punched that hole through there. Now on the tree itself, this has been removed. The reason that has been removed is everything else is kind of going in this direction, and that was going straight up. So it's a case of take that off there, this is what I did. Again, continual improvement. There's Enrico. Enrico, an amazing Italian artist. We're in a group called Progetto Futura, which means future project, constantly improving. So he came and helped me do my very first branch placements on this tree. There's another here, you can see the back there. That was it after sandblasting. You see the growth I'm creating here. And that is the first style. That long branch really was just to thicken that branch. Again, as I said, there's nothing worse than having a massive tree with spindly little branches on it. That's what the tree looks like now. That is just about to be repotted in the next few weeks in a new pot. And that's all, folks. So if you'll just put the lights up, if you'd like, I've got another presentation that I can show you. I just need to decide which one I want, because we've filled the time. Talk amongst yourselves while I do this.
We're expecting we would take it over.
I'm sure you will. Alright, so bear with me.
I should have said that.
Okay, we're ready to go. Ready to go. Ready to go. Lights, please. So this is a bonus. Only because, but I'm going to go through quite quickly. This is David. Where's this?
That's Moorbottom Road.
That is Moorbottom Road. That is about a 10-minute walk from my house. David and I, we're very fortunate. We live in a beautiful place, not Yorkshire. And,
Better water.
yeah, much better water. We have great water. Now this is this is actually one of my favourite waterlands in the wild. So these are about this is Pavel Slovak, and this is talking about from the mountain to an exhibition. This is the Lake District. That's hawthorns as they grow in nature. This is Terry Foster. This is my mate when he had hair, and that's the tree we're going to talk about. That hawthorn is no longer in my possession. That won Best Deciduous Tree at the Nolanders Trophy in 2017, and this is the story. So typically this is the area where I collect. These are the trees that inspire me. These are all hawthorns. So that's Yorkshire, that's Pennygent, and Whernside, you know the Three Peaks race? That's all around there. Now that's a windswept, isn't it? Come on. Shall I get a chair and sit down? Is that all things? Can I get
Two in then.
You got a chair?
There's two ones right here.
Proper, innit? Do you know what? It's one of the hardest styles to do. There used to be a saying in Africa, district bonsai, if you can't make a good bonsai, make a windswept. And ironically, windswept is the hardest to do. Again, beautiful. So let's go back. Again, you can. I think that's Whernside. Any walkers amongst the team? Yeah. Is it Whernside? This is around Malham, yes. This is a tree by Terry Foster in a stone that we collect in Scotland. It's Devonian schist coming from a place near Athol. But be very careful when you say that together. Devonian schist from Athol.
Don't have a lisp.
What do I like about hawthorns? I love the fact that I call them a four-season tree. Beautiful green foliage, flowers if you're lucky, red ones if you're very lucky, berries of course, amazing bark. And with the right technique, you can reduce the leaf size. But also, if you're fortunate, as David and I are, the species that we collect already has naturally dwarfed leaves. So that's something to consider when you're buying Yamadori. Ask what is the leaf size when it's out. On this side, as you can see. By the way, this projection is not life size. That's not the real size. Just what it was. Yeah, I know. Again, hawthorns. Why do I like them? They respond so well from being cut. That's why they make great hedges. So the more you cut them, the more they will grow. And they'll grow from dead wood. Look, they're old wood. Sorry, look. Right on there.
Self-set everywhere as well, don't they?
Sorry?
So they self-set everywhere.
Oh, everywhere.
I've got 2 in front garden that just appeared.
Here we go. This is me on the hill. So what I do when we collect, we wrap them in a black plastic bag. We don't do any sphagnum moss or anything. Collecting at the right time of year. This is a tree which I was preparing on the hill. That is 1 year's growth on the hill. I rarely do this now. I'm actually doing it at the moment with one tree, but sometimes I will start it on the tree. This is an indication of the very best time to collect, just as those little buttons are coming. You can see that orange. Now is the time to collect these, right now. So we'll get them home, get it into the polytunnel, and you can see here there's not much root on that. That is the soil mix that I use particularly. And you'll notice that Kanuma is in there, and I'll explain that later.
What, bins?
Bims is pumice. It's Bims or pumice, the same thing.
Nice.
The Germans call it Bims. Again, this is presentations which I'll be showing in Europe. I'm sure there's a Yorkshire term for pumice, isn't there? Donkey stone, isn't it? The donkey stone. Then there we go. I put it in the smallest tub possible. Dave, do you recognise the tub?
Yeah,
It's what we put the big hawthorn in.
yeah, it's on Monday, Tuesday.
I will then pile on sphagnum moss. I will not protect the wounds. I will not put wound sealant on it. The reason being is, these are going to go into a black plastic bag in the humidity, and I want that to be wet on the end. And I want water and humidity to go into that cut. That will then get wrapped totally in a black plastic bag. And will be stored in a place that will get warm, so that's inside the polytunnel.
When do you take the bags off? And is there a
When do we take the bags off, David?
Is there a danger?
Everybody asks the same question.
Well, I think it might
When they're ready.
might get fungus in it.
Right,
You might get fungus.
we will address, and you'll see that. So you can see here at hawthorn, that is after about 2 weeks, 3 weeks, the response you get. And the time to take it out of the plastic bag, if you look at the very top of the tree, you'll see there's about a 3 or 4 inch growth. The time to take the bag out is when you know there's going to be no more frost and the tree will survive. If it, for any reason it collapses, put it back in the black plastic bag. If you get to midsummer and it's kind of doing okay, then put it in a clear plastic bag. But what you should do is put hoops of wire so that the new growth doesn't touch the sides of the bag. And this is what happens. If you've got the sphagnum moss, you've got roots coming straight out the trunk. We're not interested in those. All that is doing is taking goodness from the roots below. You want roots growing under the soil, not above. Yeah, try and absorb that. If anybody wants to take a photograph of it, you are more than welcome to take a photograph of it. So what we've got here is winter protection. Really only winter protection is for newly collected trees or trees that are in very shallow pots. Spring, so feeding, I feed from spring all the way through to autumn. Now, it's only recently that a lot of people have been saying you should feed extremely heavily in autumn, so that you're building up that strength when it starts to grow again in the new season. I do young shoot styling in summer, and I'm going to show you that later in the presentation. Major pruning is done in the spring. Sometimes I will want callousing, and sometimes I won't. If I want callousing, basically I want that area to fatten out slightly. If I don't want callousing, I want it to stay slim. Repotting is done in spring, and also copper spray is done then, and that's to stop things like peach leaf curl. You can see right at the end there in autumn, that's winter spray. These are available for £12 a bottle. You dilute 1 to 20, and that's what you should be using your winter spray. So there's lots of advertising breaks here.
We've took 12 orders online at the minute.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, this is the raft. Here we go. This is what it looks like on the hill. And if you look in the middle, there's a big white blob. That is a stone. The reason that I wish I'd have kept that stone, in actual fact, because that's what made it be what it is. So this is a totally natural tree. So there's the stone there, you can see. What happened was that stone was laid on top of the emerging tree, and it grew in a circle.
Did somebody put it there to hold it down?
I didn't put it there, some sheep did. By the way, sheep are by far the best bonsai artists I know. They're so good at keeping trees small. That's what it looked like when it came to me. And there you can see a root at the back, and the stone was right in the middle. Eventually that root will be removed. But it's a tangled mess. Once I knew that the tree was established, I thinned it out. And there are 10 trunks there. The final tree has 5. But you can see this is already well on the way to it being a very good bonsai. Colin Lewis, who was an extremely good artist based in the UK, now in America, said, if you ever sell this tree, you sell it to me. He then moved to America. That's how the tree was first exhibited in 1997, 96, 97, at the Joy of Bonsai in a pot by Derek Aspinall. And as you can see, it's being thinned out now to fewer trunks. And that's the removal of that root at the back. And this is a new pot by Derek Aspinall, which is a much better pot and it grounds it better. That's how it looks. Okay, great. This is one that kind of makes people wince, because how do you bend an old branch on a deciduous tree? But this is how I was fortunate, because when we came to repotting it, we changed the angle slightly, so I'm the front. We had to push it this way. So this branch was going backwards, and it had to be brought forward. This is the way it was done. Fortunately, there was a knot in the right place, so it was a case of drill through that knot, and then cut a wedge out of it, and then pull it together. And it gave me about 25 degrees extra to pull it round. And it was held in place by these 2 wires. You can see there is cut paste. I wanted that to callus. And that's what it looks like 2 or 3 years later. In the early days of this branch here, which you can see is at a right angle, I did the same technique, but opposite, by pulling it together in the opposite direction. Put that callus over. Okay, create ramification. This is where, yeah, let's go back. Cut and grow is best. But you can wire on a deciduous tree, but only if absolutely necessary, and definitely with aluminium because it's soft. But this is when to wire. When the new growth comes out, it's green, don't wire then, because what will definitely happen is the branch will die. The best time to wire, notice 2 smiley faces, is when the branch goes red. When it goes silver, you can wire where the branch is silver, but it's more likely to crack if you do any extreme bends. So here's a good example. That has been wired, as you can see there's a curve in it. Those have been cut in. So you've got a combination of curves and straights. Sorry. So you can see here, left hand side cut and grow, leaving a small stub of course, and on the right hand side wired. And there from the top you can see curves and straight. And this is the other interesting thing, particularly with hawthorns, is there's absolutely nothing wrong with having vertical growth. What you don't want is, you don't want a tree that's styled like a pine tree. Deciduous trees grow in a radial fashion. So there, that's quite a nice designed branch. And you can see now how the ramification is created. But what is this? Did you see the subtle change? I'll go back. Ready? So it was a case of thinning it out to get the branches. I'll go back slowly. You'll see it be removed. I'll do it again. Come back. There it is. Okay, callousing and wounds. This is what I've talked about. About do I want areas to callous or do I want them not to callous? This I wanted to callous. You can see it's created this callus. Now it's interesting, I let it callus and then I cut away the callus of the base so that that would drain. Again, callusing at the base of the tree. So here we go. This is Harley Rider, my dear friend who passed away. We must have chosen the wettest day of the year to repot. You can see it's a good solid mass. So it's a case, you know, of raking out. You can see how muddy and horrible it is. And the fact that the roots have taken the shape of the pot. So try to keep that image, the volume of root that is there, when you compare the amount that I've taken off. And bearing in mind this tree was heavily fed prior to this in the autumn. Jet wash, there's all the roots, clean the pot, and it's at this point it's a case of every time you repot a deciduous tree in particular, you're improving the nabaris, improving that way it enters the soil. This black area here is where that big fat root was removed early on in the process. So this is interesting here. This is using a hose pipe to clear. But there's a root directly under the tree that was pushing it out of the pot. That had to be removed. And this is removing that, and there it is. So it's not the best of pictures, but you can see now how much root has been removed. There's the pot. You see how much root has been taken off? 70% of the root away. That's what it was. So there you can see the kanuma. What that does is just sweetens up the soil a little. That's what I do when I'm repotting into my exhibition trees. I don't do this with my Yamagola. Here we are wiring in. So this is interesting. See here first. If you look here, you'll see that this is abrupt. The reason this is abrupt is because I use this technique. And what it is when you're wiring it in, I don't protect the root. Because what I want this to do is, as this swells, this will die off. And new roots will come from the sides here, which is what you can see there. That technique was from there. So in doing that, that will die. And then we'll get new roots closer to the trunk. In the greenhouse, winter protection, and the duvet of snow. And that's how it was presented at the trophy.
Can I ask you,
Yeah.
I just noticed you tilted the pot, is that because it's a very shallow?
Yeah, it drains, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll go back to that, like that, yeah. You don't want water sitting in there.
It holds its water on a shallow pot and on a deep one.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it?
It's gravity.
It won Best in Show in EVA in 2008. Look at that handsome young man. Who is it? It's the same guy.
Got a leaf for that one.
You know when you said it was heavily fed before you put it in, what did you feed it on?
High nitrogen. 1362. Yeah, that's when it was. Should we go back and see this? I do look at this. One of them was aged better than the other.
Tree. Like the mountain.
Yeah. Well, the Nabari's a lot bigger on one of them.
I know the feeling.
There you go. That's how it was presented at the trophy, and this is basically me saying goodbye to the tree because I sold it the next day, and it's gone to Germany, and it's in a private collection in Germany. The chap who bought it has 60 of the best trees in the world in his garden, so I'm quite pleased about that. It will never be seen outside of his garden. You can visit the collection by invitation.
You know those hollows,
Yeah,
where you said callousing round it,
yeah.
do you have to stop that rotting?
I don't mind the rot.
Or they rot?
I'm quite happy with the rot.
It's
Yeah,
all right.
it's a natural process. Oh, well, we've seen George. We've seen George, we've seen George. Okay, so I was explaining to Scouse Bonsai at the back there.
Oh, sure.
Sean, how, with the right technique and the right timing, within 6 years, you can get it from mountain to exhibition. And the story with this was, David said, I found some hawthorns, we went to look at them, they were dreadful. As we were going back to the car, I said, well, you might as well collect this beech tree. So he collected this beech tree, and got it in a bucket, had it for 2 or 3 years, and then Terry and I were visiting him, and he said, I really don't know what to do with this. At which point Terry said, why don't we do what you did in Denmark, Tony, and turn it into a raft? And there it is. And that was in 6 years. From that to that. And this is how we did it.
What's that pot on?
I'll get to that. There it is. First thing we did was clear out everything. So what we're doing in actual fact is tipping it on its side and planting it in a deep pot. So that's the start of it. So this would have been about year 3 of 6 years. Let it grow. So we're now developing the trunks and letting it grow and then trimming it back. And that was the very first pot it was in. And that's a pot by John Pitt. David had 3 pots made, and I never liked it because in my opinion it's the wrong colour, it was too heavy, it was too big, and we potted it anyway, but the following year I said to David, we really need to get this into the Ginkgo show because it's an amazing tree. And at which point Terry Foster said, I've got this beautiful pot that I don't think I'll ever use. It's a golden duffet pot, you can have it. Because I think it's going to be the most perfect pot for this tree. And that is the pot. And that is how the tree was exhibited at the Nolantis Trophy. At the Ginkgo in 2007. 2007. And it won Best Deciduous Tree. It's a beautiful tree. And the leaf size on that is the size of your fingernail. and it's a beech.
Is it just on the original route?
It is on
So
the,
the trunk,
it's on, that's a
was the
very
trunk routed?
great question, great question. What David did was, and one of the great things about David is whatever he does to the best he possibly can. He cuts away sections underneath.
Yeah.
So, because it's a beech, and we know what beech are like, they grow like a weed. He has more problems with this growing too quickly. But it's still in this pot now, and it's repotted about every 2 years. And there he is. Oh, he also ordered some debris. There you go. And it's really interesting because what happened was, I said to David, you've got to come to the trophy, you're going to win it. And he went, no, I'm not coming. I said, well, look, if you win, I'm going to go and collect the bloody prize for you. He went, no, you can go and collect the prize. And of course, I go and collect the prize. I phoned him up. By the way, David, you won. That's it. Oh no,
What's the tall guy?
the tall guy. This is the tall guy. How are we doing for time? 10 minutes.
Oh, we're fine.
10 minutes, 10 minutes.
Wake me up in the
Right,
morning.
This is the tall guy. This was purchased for £48 from a farmer in Clitheroe. And
How much?
£48.
It's all right, it's Yorkshire saying.
How much? I know what the Yorkshire.
Why Yorkshiremen have one big ear.
The thing
Thing
was, this is very, very early days. I've been working on this tree for 38
Nigel's
years.
just gone live.
This is very early days. How incredibly naive I was, but I realised where the lines were, and I couldn't get it in my car like that, so I had to cut off everything that I could. So that's how the tree looks now. It's in a different pot.
Pot looks better than petrol can.
But here's the story. That was cutting back everything so I could get it in the car. The next thing I did was get it into some decent soil. I always thought that this was going to be the front. I always thought I was going to use that thick bottom branch. David, there it is, the Aspinall. I recently sold that Aspinall pot. Derek Aspinall, in my opinion, was the best thing to come out of Yorkshire. An amazing bonsai potter. Sadly no longer with us. But what happens is when in the early days of your bonsai journey, you're desperate to get stuff in bonsai pots. If it's not in a bonsai pot, it's not a bonsai. If it's in a washing up bowl, it's not a bonsai. If it's in a washing up bowl and it's in your garden, and some friends say, oh, you do bonsai, can I have a look at one? And it's in a washing up bowl, it's not a bonsai. So you want to get it in a bonsai, but that's, you want to get it in a bonsai pot. But you shouldn't. As I said, I was foolish when I was younger. I'm not much better now. So I decided, as the fashion was to do some carving. And I did this with Dan Barton, carving and created a shari, because I believed that the trunk was a bit boring. So that is how the tree was presented to get me into the new talent competition in 1995. With a shari painted with lime sulphur. Which is awful. You don't do that. You really don't do that. There it is from the sides and the back. So it's got great movement, great taper. But what I was saying earlier is, what's the point of having a massive trunk with skinny, spindly branches on it? That should never have been exhibited for at least 6 or 7, maybe even 10 years. So the first thing I needed to do was to do, because it was a young looking tree, was to develop old bark. The way you do it is you cut into the tree with a Stanley knife, or sharp knife, wrap it in moss for 2 or 3 years, it begins to crack, and that will give you old bark. So that's what it looked like when the moss was removed, but I still thought it was boring. Now, the sharpest tool in my toolbox is the glass of red wine. Because the moment I have a glass of red wine, I do more drama. And what I needed to do was improve the taper on this tree, so I did it with a hammer by removing that centre section. Did you see that? If you look at this area here, I glass grid line, hold the tree, Dave, bang. And took it out. There it is, in Bury. And that's, you can see it's a natural break. And there you can see the results of the knife and the bark, etc. That's all been created. There's a tree in flower. It's always given up really good flowers. This tree is for sale, by the way, if anybody's interested.
How much is it, Tony?
£12.
We'll have a collection.
48. Got 8 of them.
How much?
Pointless in giving a value in this room.
How do you know?
How much?
How do you
You've got a
know?
good point here. Got a good point.
I agree with you.
No, he hasn't.
It's yours for 4,500.
You're right. You were right.
Ah,
You what? No, but you've got a good idea, haven't you?
They're known for extracting the
Right,
urine.
so
Four-
buy
4 or
4,500
5
by
years' time.
38.
What, we can all have a share in it?
No,
Oh,
that's how many years I've worked on it.
I thought you meant, you know.
Well, let's assume. Let's assume
I collected 4 in 2019.
200,000. No, less than that. Well,
It is about 120, 130 quid.
One I'd like that.
About 130 quid.
it's not a lot. Yeah, well, you've got nice flowers and berries.
When I went lottery,
You've got to buy a ticket.
I do. Hey, I've got one actually. I do.
Is that quite interesting? Again, I keep mentioning Terry Foster, he's a great artist. He said to me, you've got to cut this roots off, it's going to make the tree look older. I thought, no, I'm not going to cut this roots off because it gives good grounding. What I am going to do though, can you imagine cutting that root off? I actually hollowed it out. So again, this tree is constantly being hollowed and rotted, and we talked about, rotting and stuff. And that's the tree as it looked recently. And great colour, great with berries. And this is not about me. There's 5 minutes to go, fat guy. All right, this is what it looked like it was when it was collected.
They've started an auction on live. You're up to 50 quid at the minute.
Excellent.
For that.
Excellent.
You might
When it
be
gets
here
to
a while.
4 grand.
Yeah. Well, somebody put 4 grand, laughing face. I'll give you 50 quid for it.
Who was it?
Just Dan DR Bonsai.
All right.
I was 60.
70.
70. I'll buy it back for
So there you
70.
go. What, when you're into that? Hawthorn. That's what it becomes. Same tree. All it is time and technique.
How much time?
There we are, 1997 to 2017, 20 years.
How long did it take you to decide to take that bottom left branch off?
Oh, it was dead. Every branch has been grown.
So you take them off quite sharpish.
Well, they were dead.
So you took it off straight away then.
Yeah. So let's have a look at this.
Do you still have this tree?
No, that's sold.
Just wondering what it's like today.
It's very nice. Faisal's got it in London.
Can I please £2.50?
This is repotting it.
It's like Jabba the Hutt.
But can you see it's very, very tight in this pot. This pot was not commissioned. This was a purchased pot by Duffel. So what, you can see there's no nabari on the left-hand side. There's a block of wood, and that block of wood was carved to look like a root. Fooled everybody. Problem I had was, really, I needed to rotate the tree slightly because this is not a very good front. I needed to rotate the tree, and I couldn't do that. So I commissioned a pot that was same, almost identical, but with slight flaring and deeper. So watch carefully. This is rotating the tree about 15 degrees. It changes it significantly. It's ever so slight. We'll go back again. Ready?
That bottom branch on the next picture, it's caught that one above it, hasn't it?
Watch.
You know that bottom right hand branch?
Yeah.
In that last picture, one above it was stuck out further, and it's caught it up in that one.
Well, the tree is still in development,
Yeah,
so that's how it looks.
yeah.
That's how it looks today.
Brilliant, that's fabulous, isn't it?
There it is in leaf. And there it is in flower. And there it is in
Did you
what?
say that one collected or?
Oh, it's all collected. Thank you. 10 o'clock. Any more bids?
We're down to 45, but it's cash.
Oh, that's all right.
I thought it, I thought it said 100 cash.
Any questions?
You got for spray, what?
Winter,
Oh, you get that,
21.
No,
I'll do
not,
5
no,
litres.
not that, the spring one, the copper.
Ah, yeah. Can't buy book is copyrighted. Board only.
Oh, yeah, it's,
We'll catch up with you later. We're going to get busy over the weekend. But for me, I'll see you soon. See you in the next one. And
Ta-da, folks, and I'll catch you tomorrow when we do some work on his trades. Because he doesn't do any.
oh, we're up to 250 quid.
Oh, that's, you wish we were.
Ta-ra,
See you
folks.
later. Ta-da, folks.